I mean, for me, it was like when you watch yourself for the first time foiling, man, that's a horrible experience.
Yeah.
And you think you're like pumping well, and you're like, man, I look great. And you just watch someone's filming you on the beach. Like, I even just like setting your iPhone up. I used to do that a bit, like just put it on a tripod and on the beach and just film. And like, man, the amount of stuff you learn from that, and then watching better guys, like you just study what people do, and like, and little things. Like I watched, I think there's a guy, I think I mentioned Zane. But like I watch how like, every time he kicks off a wave, he slides his back foot like 20 centimeters forward. Every time he just kicks off.
Yeah.
And things like that. I was like, what does that do? Like, why would you be moving your back foot? And then I tried it and I was like, whoa, pump's way easier.
Today, welcome back to the Foil Project, episode 6, I believe. Today we have special guest Oskar.
Awesome.
Great to be here.
Okay. Yeah, there you go. Well, why don't we just start with Oskar? Tell us a bit about yourself.
Oh, I'm Oskar. Nice to meet you guys. I haven't met any of you guys before, which is awesome. So you guys are all West Coast Oz. I'm on the East Coast. Split my time between like Sydney and South Coast down near Ulladulla. So heaps of good foil spots around. Not many people as well, which is awesome. Just easy to get away from the crowds. But been foiling for a while. I learned to foil ages ago, probably I think it was early 2018 sometime.
Oh, right.
I learned to foil, but I honestly didn't get into it. I was just like, I didn't get the point of it. I kind of learned to pump. I could link probably 2, sometimes 3 waves. And I was like, by the end, I just kind of got to the end. I was like, I don't really get the point of this. And I was sort of just stopped. I just didn't really do it anymore for a couple of years. And then started COVID. Mate just like dragged me out and was like, come on, let's go. And I was like, I just wasn't into it. And saw a guy from Sydney, Jeremy Wilmot, who's a weapon foiler, and just watched him, and he was like riding the thing like a shortboard and pumping out for like 5, 6 waves, and I was like, oh my god. And pretty much from then on, it was like my COVID addiction. It was just, that's it. That's all I was doing. I just loved it. But I think it was I couldn't translate surfing into it. And that took me a while. Like I kind of got like, you could pump and you could link waves, and I was like, I want to still be able to turn, do all that sort of stuff. So I think once I realised that was possible, then that was when I started.
Well, yeah, probably back in 2018, the wings and all the gear wouldn't have been as high aspect and everything as it is now. So it would have changed a lot since when you started to now. Yeah.
I mean, I still got the one that I originally learnt on. It's like 30 mils thick. It's tiny. It's pretty small, but it's just so thick. Yeah. So slow. Like I don't even know how we were riding it. But like the rate gears progressed is ridiculous. Yeah. It's so cool though to be a part of, and seeing where things are going now. Like, I mean, it's ridiculous.
It's weird that you didn't get like, I don't know, I know myself, like I got addicted when I started linking waves and sort of stuff, pumping out the back and linking 2 or 3 waves, but it's weird that you weren't sort of like interested in that after. I guess you were saying you weren't like, you were linking waves 2 or 3 and then you were like, there's not much else to do, but I don't know, I guess it's just different. It. Did you
and I think it was, honestly, I think it was gear related, fully gear related. Yeah. Like I started, like pumping those low aspects was like, you're working so hard. Yeah. You'd finally get on one, and also like, all right, I could go straight, and then I had to work so hard, get back out and get one. And I just was like, this is so much work. And it wasn't getting easier. Like the better I got, it just didn't get easier. I was like, I was still cooked just trying to get 1 or 2. Yeah. And then I was just like, you know what? Like, I'm done with it. I was just like, what's the point? Like, I'm just linking 2 waves and that's it. Yeah. Whereas now, like the wings we went on, like I think after I started making my own wings, I think GoFoil brought out a GL series. Yeah. Which was awesome wings. Same thing. Like you could pump them really well, but they were pretty slow. So I was like, I had a buddy that had one, so I took a few templates and made them, and then moved on and was like, they were kind of heaps thinner, and I kind of refined them to what I liked. Yeah. And that's when it started, like the pumping started clicking, and I was like, all right, now we can do, like 15 minutes sort of, and you start, increasing. You get the goals, and you're like, I want to do, you start with a 3 for 1. Then you go to a 4 for 1. Then you're like, right, I want to get to a minute. I want to get to 2 minutes. And you just keep that.
Yeah.
And you're always dialing in like the littlest things, like your foot position, like how to work, you know, if your back leg's cooked, how do I work my front leg? And like that learning process, I think, is what got me so addicted.
Yeah, fair.
And that's still the case. Like, yeah, it's whether you go into winging or you go into down, like you always learn. There's always something new to learn.
Yeah.
And that's what's so awesome about it.
Yeah.
It just never ends.
Yeah, just on what you were saying just there, those first foils that you started refining yourself, how did you actually do that? Or could you talk us through the process of what happened there?
So I was buying from Bunnings, like the Home Depot kind of Aussie equivalent, but I was just buying sheets of XPS foams, like wall insulation. And I was just cutting it to the outline that I wanted.
Yeah.
And then I was pretty much just making them flat, like as in like no shape, no dihedral or curve in the wing kind of profile. And then I just draw like, you know, hundreds of lines and like get all the measurements, kind of work out where the thickest point was and like kind of just scale that wing section as it got thinner out to the edges. And like I grew up, like when I was young, I made my own surfboards. I kind of knew how to glass and make things out of carbon and stuff like that. So I kind of just went down the same mentality. I was like, I'll make it like a surfboard. I'll just foam core, shape it, then glass it exactly the same as I would and kind of work out how to make the kind of piece that it goes into the fuselage and things like that. But
yeah.
And honestly, like I look back at it and I was like, it wasn't. I picked it up this morning, actually. A friend was around. I was having a feel. Like it's not that thick. Like it's still only like 20 mil thick, like, which in these days is kind of thick, but even so, like back then it was so thin. And
yeah, that's crazy. With that glassing job, were you using carbon fiber or just like sort of fiberglass and epoxy?
Yeah, I was using carbon. So I was using, what was it, like 600 grams per square, like really thick carbon. I just put 2 layers of that and then a layer of fiberglass over the top. So you kind of, if you sanded through, it didn't really matter. And,
fair.
And they were pretty rough wings, but they were. That's it. So.
Well, I also noticed that you made your own downwind sup board, I think. Is that?
Yeah. So I got same thing. Honestly, exactly the same. I went and like I couldn't get splanks during COVID because like surf industry is just struggling to get materials in. So I went to Bunnings and I bought the same XPS foam sheets, like the wall insulation. I just glued them all together. I think it was like 3 or 4 of them thick, like 1.5 long, and just glued it all up. And that pretty much was the exact dimensions I was kind of stuck with. So it was like 5, 10.5 by like 23, I think the blanks were, and I ended up at like 22.5. And the same thing, then just glassed it all in carbon. Tried vac bagging for the first time, which is pretty interesting process. But honestly, like, and it's the same thing. Like now with downwind boards, it's like talking to a few friends. They're like looking at trying to get kilometers and stuff like that, and the wait times, like they're all waiting like 4 or 5 months to get boards, and it's like everyone wants them now. Like, you just can't really get what you want right now, and same as like Sonova's got long turnarounds, so it's just like, you know what, make my own. And
for sure. Is that sort of downwind board, is that a new thing? Like, how did you sort of get into the sport? Have you done downwinding before, or did you start as like a sort of foiler? Started prone. I think everyone does it. You find somewhere where you've got a little chip in and you can get like half a K down the beach, and then you just keep looking for the next little chip in and the next little run down the beach. And I ended up just doing that, just sitting on Google Maps, like hunting down what wind, and sort of just learning that way. Also got a buddy with a ski, so we've got a good like 25, 30K run in the kind of, we get northeast winds most arvos in summer. And so that's like a real straight run for us, like 25, 30Ks. And we just rotate with the ski, like do 5Ks, swap, do 5Ks. And that was super helpful to learn. Yeah. But same thing, it's just a mission to like organize it. It's like you got to drop the ski with the trailer at one end, drive the ski back, get a car, like anchor the ski, drive it back down, get a car. It's just a nightmare. To like for what, you know, how much time you spend on foil, it was a lot of, 4 times that time doing shuttles and working the logistics out. So I think I kind of got sick of that and was like, I need something that's consistent. And I think I went into winging kind of thinking that. I was like, winging, like I'll be able to just do those longer runs and be safe. But I think when the wind drops, you get things like that. And it's like, like wind dies and you're a couple Ks offshore. Like, man, paddling with that thing all the way in, like, absolute nightmare. And so it's like kind of from a safety side, I was like, I need to learn the downwind sup foiling. And I've got a buddy, Zane Westwood, real good foiler as well, who
kind of just gave me all the tips I needed. And yeah, it was. Have any of you guys jumped in on the stuff downwind yet at all? Or plans?
Not successfully. We have, but yeah, not too many attempts.
Yeah, we've given it a shot. I think all of us still like are sort of frothing over the surf foiling more. Like that's probably what we enjoy the most.
Yeah.
But it's pretty tricky. We don't really get much swell at all during the summertime, and just like this period now, we're coming into winter. We're going to get a bit more waves, so hopefully we can get out a bit more.
Yeah.
One thing I was wondering is the first time I ever saw one of your videos or saw you on the foiling scene was those reviews you did with the GoPro pumping out. So I was just like wondering how you got to doing those and where you kind of found that niche idea, because it's a pretty cool video to watch.
Yeah, thanks, man. It was a buddy of mine. He was over in the States. He was middle of COVID, and unfortunately he was going through chemo. So rough time, but I was like, and he was saying, he was just frothing. He's like, I want to get back to Oz. I want to learn foiling. He was frothing on it. So I just took my GoPro out one day and I was like, film a quick video and like, show him what it's about and like try and do some turns or whatever. I never really foiled with the GoPro, and then I was like halfway through, I just kept talking to him. I'm like, oh, yeah, do this, do that. And he kind of like came back and he loved it, and I was like, oh, and like I think it was right before the 1125 came out, and he was like, man, that was sick. Like you should do more videos like this. And I was like, I kind of didn't see any point in like, so what am I going to talk about? Like, just pumping around. And then he was like, and then the 1125 came out. I was like, maybe I should do a review like this. And like started off with just like, you can see, but I watched the old one recently. It's like, I had the GoPro, had the stick in it. It was pretty much just a crop of like my head and my chest.
Yeah.
Whereas like now with like the 360 cameras, like it looks so clean and so nice. And yeah, that's sort of where it started from. And now just trying to educate. There's so many guys that want to know about wings. How do they compare to other wings in the range? So I was, just trying to give people more info on what they're riding and how things, compare to other wings in the range. And it's just a fun process, I guess.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome to watch. I really like the videos. So it's
awesome.
I've seen most of your videos. You mostly on Armstrong, I assume, because you're talking about the 1125 when that came out, and then also, but I've seen a couple on Axis as well. So
I review pretty much anything, but at the moment I ride a lot of Armstrong and Axis. I think I had first setup I actually bought was an Armstrong setup, and so that was when I got the 1125. I reviewed that, and then Adrian from Axis was kind enough to send me just a setup to try out, and that was when the 999 came out. So I did the same thing. I said like, oh yeah, I'll do a review for it, and he was stoked on that, and sort of and I think as well, like if you just ride one brand, it kind of just you want to have a pretty more all-rounder perspective. So you got to ride more gear, and the more gear or the different brands you ride, like it makes you a better foiler. You learn things that you might like in one setup, and then you might change, and the more you chop and change, it like really helps you kind of dial in your own setup and your own gear. And I know you guys are all on all different stuff.
Yeah, we kind of got a bit.
So what have we got? Armstrong, Axis, and Lift.
Yeah.
Different
one each. So
well, also with back to you saying different gear, you get different like perspective, and everything everything's a bit different when you're probably making your tail wings. Because I think, do you ride all custom tail wings usually?
At the moment, not anymore, to be honest. I think where I was at, I kind of was looking for something particular, like really thin, fast tail wings. And both Armstrong and Axis, like with that. Armstrong's got that HA195.
Yeah.
Which super fast, super efficient tail wing. And then same with Axis with the new progressive tail wings. So they kind of replaced they're way more refined than what I can make. So now I'm just pretty much riding them.
Oh, yeah. No worries. Oh, what's your local break?
Where do you surf?
It was super keen.
Ooh.
Or is it secret?
Or is that
confidential?
Is that confidential info?
There's plenty of secret ways. If you're ever in the neighbourhood, let me know. Hit me up. I'll show you around. But there's a few awesome places around Narrawally Inlet in Ulladulla. It's a little river mouth that's awesome. On the outgoing tide, super good little spot. The other one, a little further south, is Tomican River Mouth. Big foil crew down there as well. Heaps of guys love it down there. But same thing, it's like 500-600 meter just straight down the line. And on the foil you can kind of chip in and like way out the back, and then you just sit on these lumps as far as you want all the way in. It's an awesome setup. So Whereabouts are you guys? You guys are all WA.
Yeah.
What's your local? What are the local spots?
Well, there's no swell in summer, so there's not. The break sort of depletes a bit, but then as soon as we get into winter, the breaks, extend. And we spend a bit of time as well down in like Dunsborough and Margaret River, that type of place, foiling. So in winter, usually Engine Up Bay, that's great.
Yeah.
But in Perth, a place called Dutch Inns or Ep.6, it's like just a reef block that just chucks out a small little breaker, and then it just goes fat, and you just ride it all the way in and pump back out and just do it again.
Yeah, it's a foiling hot spot.
Yeah, nice.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, bloody hell.
It's kind of, compared to what you're talking about where you got just down the line runners for ages, it's a pretty different setup. Like, we're cycling when it's just breaking enough to get up and go for a bit of a pump.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
it's good fun there. And when the good days come, it's pretty fun out there. So
yeah.
Like with the new pump wings, like the high aspects, I reckon that's changed everything. Like, we've got a heap of just empty, super average beach brakes that don't really go anywhere. But as long as you got a little chip shot in to get out the back, and you can just kind of sit on those lumps further out.
Yeah.
Like, it's changed what you look at and what you ride. Like, even compared to like some of the older, like the mid aspects, like even the HS 1250, it's kind of the first Armstrong I rode, and it was like, yeah, you could pump out well, but like, you're kind of working with it to stay with it, and you just kind of have to wait till it kind of stood up anyway. Whereas now, like, I know you guys have got some of the ART wings. I don't know if you got the HA wings.
I'm pretty sure all of us just have that.
I got 925.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I've kind of got like the exact equivalent from lift foil. So,
well, I got a question, because I definitely think that down south more for us, Dunsborough and Margaret River, we get a bit of grief for foiling. For around like where the surfers are, like most of the times we go to like there's a place called Honeycombs. You see like it's probably like a kid's break type thing, but then there's like a little shoulder that we just chip in on, and then we're away. But we definitely get a lot of the mums and dads telling us, it's too dangerous to go around and foil. Like, do you get much grief over the East Coast?
Surprisingly not, to be honest. I mean, down where I am, like kind of local community, everyone's pretty cool with it. There's one wave that's, we had a chat with the locals, and that's the thing, like, we're all surfers down here. Like, I still surf probably more than I foil. So
yeah, right.
And they're like, I kind of, just being like knowing all the surfers, and that's the other thing, there's a lot of the good surfers down here that are getting into foiling. So there's definitely a transition, and everyone's pretty open to it, but there are just that we kind of unwritten rule, but we just try and avoid it. Like, if there's people about, like, and I get it, like, I think people have hyped it up in the media, being like, they're the most dangerous things, and like, it's always kind of like potential for, like, no one's ever had an injury. Like, no one on the East Coast has even heard of an injury or like an accident, but it's just that, like, but what if? It's like,
exactly.
Yeah.
But there's people doing the wrong thing on both sides. Like, I've seen that many foilers that, like, especially around Sydney, they just like crowded lineups, pumping out and just weaving through, like, so it goes both ways, and I get it. Like, if something was to go wrong, it'd go real wrong. But for us down here, like, we've had no issues. And like, most people are just stoked to see it. Like, 99% of people just come up and be like, oh my God, where do I buy one?
Yeah,
like, everyone just asks how much. There's like, how much is that?
Yeah. That's always the question.
Does it have a motor?
Does it have a motor? Yeah.
Does it have a motor? Yeah. All the time. I had it this morning. It was just every time. But
it's crazy.
But that's what I mean. A lot of people are into it, and people kind of like, they're into new technology, new stuff, all this. But like, even down where there's some older guys that are like, worried that it's dangerous. I'm like, you guys are like towing ridiculous waves, things that like properly are going to kill you. I'm like,
we're catching below 2 foot waves.
Yeah, that's it. But I think, the newer, like, the low aspects when I first started, like, you had to kind of stay near the pocket and surf near the wave. But these high aspects, like, you just nowhere near people anymore. Like, I don't want to be anywhere near I'm trying to stay out wide, like, just sit on the unbroken stuff. So it's like, naturally, we've just kind of moved apart. And, I think obviously it's gotten less and less. And I think people are getting more open to it, but there are definitely some not happy locals about it.
Yeah. I think that's got to be true everywhere, though. Like, it's the same around here in the West Coast. Most people are super stoked to see it, and they're super interested to know, like, what's this new cool sport? Especially, like, it amazes me now that there's people who walk past and they've never seen it before. Because you walk past any beach, and now it's just like crazy. We have wingers just going up and down whenever there's a strong wind, they'll be like all over the beaches.
Most days. Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, we go a lot. We would do a lot of dock foiling in the city, in the river. So and lots of like I guess maybe tourists. Well, not really tourists because of COVID, but people just haven't seen it before, and they always come up to you and film and all that, and you're just there, listening to music and pumping down, backing up the river.
Are you guys doing the like wake thieving, like dock start, pump out, steal away?
Yeah. We had who was that, Maxwell, with you the other day? We had that really like we were going for a couple, like a K or so. Just hopped on a...
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we went pretty far. Maybe not a K, but pretty far.
Yeah, well, we just hopped on someone's wake. And it was prime. You just hop on and just sit there.
We didn't want to turn around because the wind was like right in our face on the way back. So we're just like, bugger. We just sat on the wake and then we hopped off another jetty, see how far we could get. And then we got like 500 meters.
I was about to say, what did you just jetty hop your way up the river?
Yeah.
No, that's really
fun. Way to do it.
That's sick.
Have you ever gotten into dock foiling, or are you just too many waves on the East Coast?
I have. I've done it. Like, I got a friend who's got like a little jetty, kind of goes into like a dam. And sick. Kind of pump around some trees and stuff. And I've done it twice at his place, but not much else. Hey, it's sort of.
Yeah.
I don't know. I want to do the whole wake. I've seen that. Like, I've dreamed of like dock start in Sydney Harbour, jump on one of the ferries and like ride it to the next stop and then wait for a ferry and jump on it on the way back. But down where we are, haven't really got anything that's there's just waves. Honestly, it's just always waves.
Must be nice.
Yeah. For us, like boat wake does not compare to a real wave in the ocean. Like you learn that pretty quickly when you get onto your first one. They just don't have the energy that you get out in the ocean. So
unless you're like, you know, we were down south towing on the little dinghy, going for a little foil, and there was like probably like a 70-foot yacht just came through.
Oh yeah,
and we just hitched the wake. It was like, I don't know, 200 meters offshore. We just hitched its wake. I was so lucky to get on, and I was like chilling in the pocket for like a little bit, and then it just stopped to pull into the bay, and I was like, no. So sad because there was like no waves anywhere else.
No,
the dinghy didn't have much of a wake.
Yeah, if you could get onto the back of one of those ferries in the Sydney Harbour, that could be a pretty cool video as well.
It'd be a really good clip.
Yeah, for sure.
Because they probably have a nice wave.
In Perth? What about the harbour of Perth? Is it Foil Perth? He does that, doesn't he?
Yeah. He does a bit. Yeah. We have the Rottnest ferry, so there's an island off Perth called Rottnest, and they come. There's a terminal halfway up the river, so they just come in and out, but they're not there every half an hour, so you catch one and then you're a bit stuck.
Yeah. Pretty sick. What about, there's a heap of cruise ships.
What about the downwind? I feel like you guys haven't got into the downwinding over there. I know you guys have mental winds. Yeah. It's all summer long. I feel like that's what everyone would be doing.
Yeah, that's really what everyone is starting to do. Yeah. We're probably a bit behind that. Like, I don't think we're going to do it this summer. Like, we've probably missed our opportunity to learn how to do it. I've been doing it a lot on like the wing, just because like we don't really have that problem with the wind dying so much. Like, if you're out there, the wind's going to stay for at least until like 6 o'clock, so you'll be all right. But yeah, I don't know. It's a tricky thing to learn, we've found. So if you had like how did you actually get into it and learn how to paddle up? Because that's probably our main problem, coming from a surfing background.
Ooh. Yeah, so I had no SUP experience. Like, never ridden a SUP. It wasn't something for me. And so the first thing I did, we were like, did what everyone did. Like, oh, this will be easy. Let's just go straight out there and just downwind. It would be fine. Yeah. And so like we took a ski and took a SUP, a buddy's SUP, and it was like big door of a thing. It was like 5'8" by like 30 wide. It was huge. And we got off we were like literally just like launched the ski and we're like, let's just paddle in like the flat water, like just see how we go. And like I took 2 strokes and I was just facing the other way. And I was just it's so hard. Like just learning to paddle straight. I was like, and we were like pretty much then just went like, this isn't happening. Like, so we went and did it prone. And so I was like, I borrowed his SUP and kind of spent probably 2 sessions just in the lake, just like learning to paddle straight.
Yeah.
And like when you're downwind foiling, like you tend to be pretty like, especially when you're paddling for a wave, you're kind of more in your foil stance. Like, whereas often if you're paddling on a SUP, you're like pretty square on, like you kind of paddle straight and you paddle each side. But when you're kind of going up, you sort of side on, and you only ever paddle. You can't paddle on the other side, so you're only ever paddling on that one side. So kind of learned, just make sure you can paddle in a straight line. Then after that, I could paddle straight. I kind of just jumped in the ocean and was like, just needed to learn one balance when like it's, you know, when you're out in the ocean, there's so much more going on, like all your muscle memory, all that kind of sucks. So I was just wobbly. So I was just learning like just how to kind of control that, get used to, just be relaxed at least.
Yeah.
And then as well, then catching waves, like that transition from like where you are paddling to actually where you, like when you're on foil, like it's so different. So you got to like, I was on a Sonova, which like the boxes are so far back. Like for you guys on the lift and the Armstrong, like you can't do it. It's so hard. So I was like, I have to move like, I think about 20 centimeters back.
Yeah.
So I was standing on like where the handle is. I was way back. But the problem is like, so you're paddling in and you're like, it's starting to come up and you got to like move back and there's just so much going on. It's so hard.
Well,
so eventually I got on a foil or a board that could like, I could get the mast at least to where I wanted it. And that made all the difference. I was like, where I was standing paddling was where I wanted to be on foil, which made just everything easier.
I guess like one question I've got, Oskar, is if you've sort of started prone foiling and then I guess you've kind of worked your way to doing a bit more downwinding stuff. At the moment, what do you think your favourite thing to do foiling wise is?
Oh, that's a rough question. Let's go.
Or like,
are you going waves like right now?
Yeah,
I've kind of got that. I did a run in Sydney, just in a bay run, and it was like super light winds, 10 knots, like, and like super marginal. And I could get up fine. And I did it with a buddy who was kind of learning. So I just like pop up, just go for like 50 meters, pump back, and then just sit down again. And like, just did that like 20, 30 times. And it was kind of the first time where I was like, oh shit, like I'm not struggling to paddle up anymore. That's not my biggest fear. Like the next kind of, and I think that kind of killed a little bit of the learning froth for me. I was sort of like, you kind of feel like you kind of then get to a point like, oh, like I've kind of got this now. Like, what's the next thing I kind of want to work on? And I think, I've kind of gone back to proning again. Like I've really been frothing on proning right now. Like, loving it.
Yeah, well, I saw your...
And I think as well
Sorry.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, I just saw your
We've got a mad
video.
delay.
it's hard to work it out.
It is pretty crazy. Just your video, your water review of the 525. That was pretty crazy. That was insane.
Man,
I don't even know how you made it back out.
Wings I've pumped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, but you
like
still
we tow it,
looked.
like towing's sick. But
Yeah.
that wing is so, like the stall speed is so high.
Yeah.
And it was just, you just like max the whole, like as soon as you get to your feet, you're just like looking to get speed to kick out, and then you just like max effort the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah, that was sick though. You made it back out. I was like, what?
So how many attempts was it? How many attempts with the review was it?
That was my second, but I hated it. I was like, oh no, I need to get another one. Like that one wasn't good. And then I probably spent an hour and a half just failing.
Yeah.
Like, not even getting out for one more.
Yeah.
And it was something that I've never noticed before. Like I was kicking out going left.
Yeah.
And I'd drop out. Every time I kicked out left, like on my backhand, I'd drop out. But if that one that I filmed on was I was at actual right, and it was all day it was left. And I could kicking out on the right, I was fine. I could pump back out, but something different on the backhand. You definitely don't have the same drive or whatever it is, but way harder.
Yeah, right. Maybe you're not like getting to initiate your toes or something as much because you kind of have to work off your heels so you don't get a stronger pump. But
yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
I was struggling. But then that was the one thing, like now looking at, have any of you guys tried the Lift 90, the high HA?
They haven't landed in Perth yet, but that's what I've got my eyes set on pretty soon. So hopefully we're all going to have a shot on that soon. And we might get some swell to actually give it a proper shot.
Yeah.
Have you tried that?
Yeah, that one. I haven't. I've got a buddy with it. I've been kind of pestering him to have a go of it, but that thing looks pretty mental.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
That would be quite a lot easier to pump than the 525 though, right? Like it would be almost similar to the 725, I would think. Or do you not think like
think
that?
So.
Yeah.
How do you find the 120 compared to Armstrong, the 925?
I think they're very similar pump wise. I think one thing that both me and Noah have felt, I don't know, Max, have you had a shot on both yet?
Not really. I don't think I've tried the 925 yet.
No.
It's like
It's the 170,
they're actually
120.
super similar winds, but
Definitely.
the 120 just has a slightly lower stall speed,
Yeah.
and probably the 925 has a higher top end.
Well, I
than
definitely
the
reckon
120.
with the 120, it also has it feels a lot softer. Like if you lose that speed, it's a lot softer to try and get back up than the 925. If you lose that speed in the 925, you're gonna eat shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of just comes
for
crashing
sure.
down.
Yeah, I've had a few guys talking about that, and I was like, oh, I thought exactly that. I thought the 120 was really similar to the 925 somewhere, and I definitely thought that it definitely got low stall speed. But then you look at the size of it. The size of the 120 is like under 800. It's pretty small.
Yeah, it's tiny.
Yeah.
Which makes it really good for turning though. Like I find it super fun wing to carve. But just the other day, like we went out to Rodo, which is like we've got a couple good breaks around there that you can foil on. And there's like I was on a tiny little wave, like the biggest ones were probably 1 foot, and I was still paddling up on the 120. So I don't see like I can honestly use that wing for any size wave now. So even though I've got the bigger one, like this in the background, I got the 170. But yeah, I don't really need that for anything anymore, except dock foiling.
Yeah.
Well, I think you've dock foiled the 120, haven't you now?
No,
Oh.
I don't think I can do that.
No, yeah. The 925 is well hard.
I've seen videos.
How much do you guys weigh?
Around 70 kilos.
Yeah,
About 70. I think we're all
Yeah.
pretty similar.
yeah, a bit under 70, I think.
Yeah, I'm a little under 70. Mid-60s.
Yeah, I'm just under 68, so that's good.
Yeah,
No, it's good to get. You got to put numbers like dock foiling's hard because everyone's like, oh, I can dock foil this, and like some little kid that's 45 kilos. I'm like, what does that mean? Like,
Yeah, that's funny.
it's the same with every single component in foiling though. Like your weight pretty much has a huge difference. Like I remember I was pumping with someone on the 170 and I was on the 120, and they're pretty different wings, but he was about 20 kilograms more than me, and so for him we were pumping out at almost identical speeds, just because like he's bigger dude, so it needs more like lift to keep him going.
So we've made our own boards in the past, and we just wanted to know, like, what's your experience of making boards in your background?
yeah, so I've just always loved making things. It wasn't anything in particular. Same as when I was at school, loved metalwork and woodwork, just learning all that sort of stuff. I worked as a chippy for a couple years while I was at uni, so like 3 days a week, sort of learning that on the side. But I just always loved just working with my hands, and then I like the techie side of it all. Like with boards, I love looking at like, different construction. Then I was like, so when I think I was 15, and I just went through a week. I think I snapped 4 boards in a week, and was like, I can't. I was like, I can't to make it. Like, I can't afford these. This is ridiculous. And I was like, and that's the thing. Like, you go into a board store and you've got secondhand boards and stuff. And like, when you're way down that weight category, there's like heaps of boards for guys like 6'1", 6'2", so that like 80 kilo guy. But like when you're like 65 kilos, it's just nothing.
Yeah.
And so I went to Hayden Cox, who's Hayden Shapes in Sydney. I just went in there, and like it just by chance they'd had their Christmas party the night before, and he was hungover he had to man the store by himself because everyone else was off. And he just kind of went, you know what, dude, I'll show you how to make a board, like start to finish. And he just took like the whole afternoon off and like just ran me through it. And after that, I just went to our local like surfboard supply store and bought it all. And just from there, just kept making my own stuff. And I think I like the tech side. I like being like, I made this myself, like, having all that kind of, if you make something that looks crap, you kind of never feel good about yourself. You're just like, but if you can make something look good, even if it performs shit, you still feel good about yourself. And it's like, eventually you get the two together where it performs well and it looks good, and then you kind of, But there's definitely something, even with foiling, like when you're on your own gear, it feels it's just all like, it's a different feeling. And like, especially when you're down, when you're out in the middle of nowhere and you're on something that you made yourself, and it feels pretty cool. But I just had an interest in it, and man, like, you can learn anything on YouTube. Anything.
True.
Yeah. Sort of how this whole podcast started for us is we actually, as a group at school, made our boards with Steve over here, and we kind of like worked through the process all together. I think we ended up pretty much way over engineering our boards. Like, we had 2 layers of carbon on a board that had like then high density foam and like I don't know what else did we put in it. It was just they're stupid. Like if we break one of our boards, it's gonna be
it's a costly, bro.
Yeah. It was only because we sort of had access to all this equipment that we're able to actually do that. And even though like the construction's pretty nice, it's like we've kind of learnt that the shape of the board is almost more important. Like where you put the foil track or whatever is really important to how your foil acts.
Well, definitely, because I the first board I actually made because I actually did the class. It sort of turned into a club after that. But I pretty much got a piece of plywood and then just glassed it and then drilled 4 holes in it, and that works fine for dock foiling. And so like you don't really need all the high density foam wraps and carbon and all that. I mean, anything really works.
Yeah. Shout out to producer Steve. Sorry.
Yeah, mate. What you learn from the teachers are everything. Those guys, I still have so much I learned from my teachers. Shout out to all those guys. But yeah, no, my first board was I rushed it out. I had 24 hours to like turn it around. I pretty much got back and was like going down the coast on a trip, and I was like, I need to get this thing done. And I like just did nothing to it, like straight board blank, cut it down, just routed the boxes straight in. I put a strip of just like the rail. I don't know. It was like I think it was 80 centimeter wide, a strip of carbon over each box all the way down the length of the board, and that was it. Otherwise I glassed it all like a normal board, 4 ounce, like 2 layers of 4 ounce on the deck, one on the bottom, and that board's still going strong. Like I just got strap inserts and I've done like flips on it. I can't break it. And I think guys have gotten like super obsessed with just like over and like if you're heavy, like I get that, but at our weight you can get away with anything.
Definitely.
Sure. If we were going to do it again, I think we wouldn't do quite as much as we did.
Yeah, we just got scared.
We're putting all this effort in. If we make something that breaks in the first 2 weeks, that's going to be terrible.
What? Are you making them again this year, or?
It's too much effort, eh? Well, I don't have the time. We were there like every day for like a whole year. I just can't do it.
That's also so true. You have any questions for us, Oskar?
What
are you guys It's better than I expected.
Mate, totally unexpected. I don't know, you guys are frothing on winging, prone. Like, you guys, I guess, are at everyone's at different stages in their foil journey. Sure. And I think we all came into that point with different gear around. Like, for me now coming into Downwind, the gear is perfect for it. Like, so perfect. Everyone's dialed in what you need to go downwinding. Whereas like back in the, I know Marcus was on the show, like when they were learning, we were on these like super slow, like they were just grinding to get a minute on foil. Whereas like nowadays everything's changed. So it's pretty interesting to hear guys at like different stages of their journey. Like with you guys, like you're, learning on high aspects, whereas, we learn on low aspects and then mid aspect, so just curious to see what you guys are frothing on and what you're thinking about next. What are you working on?
Well, definitely, we're pretty much all come from a surfing background, so we're sort of prone frothers, I guess. Like, we love our prone foil. Just out at Dutchies is our local break, or down south, as we said before. But yeah, winging has its ups and downs. I don't think Noah, you haven't got into winging that much just yet.
Not really. No, not
been
a winging
on the farm
man.
quite a bit.
Yeah. Definitely. I've been frothing the dock foiling. It's the only thing I can froth, because I could go foiling in the dam and it's not the same. It's not having good waves. But no, but there's shitloads of wind at the farm, so could get into wing.
Could.
I guess, for me, like in the prone kind of area, I think the two things that I feel like we've all sort of got pumping down pretty well now. Like, we're at the point where we can get at least like 5. Like, if we're really trying, we probably get 5 waves in a row, which is, I think, a pretty like solid effort. And then from like for me, my main aims is now like kind of trying to make prone foiling more and more like surfing. Because like the other day I went out surfing, I realized it's just so much, like actually doing turns and stuff, it's so hard to do. So being able to do that like on the prone as much as you can, like as tight turns. And then from there, I guess I've started trying to do some foot strap stuff, which I don't know if you've tried doing anything with the foot straps yet, but I feel like it's a pretty cool thing because it makes it feel more like skating. You can kind of, if you're pumping out or something, just hit the waves. I don't know if you've ever tried to do like the back flips going back out, which look like pretty showy, but I don't actually think they're incredibly difficult if you've got the right conditions. So like, yeah, I guess that's kind of where I'm thinking we're going to go. But I don't know if that's...
for sure. I mean, I've done a bit of this. I've done a fair bit. I did a bit of straps. A bit when guys first started doing the flip. I think I saw the flips and was like, yeah, I want to try that.
Yeah.
And it was the same thing. It was like you spend half a session like working out how to get your feet into it. And the flip, like you're pumping back out. It's super easy.
Yeah.
It's a strangely easy thing. Like you just got to commit. And if you don't commit, it's going to end badly. But as long as you commit 100% to it, like I think it took me, the third one I landed. And it was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I can't ride out of one. I want to try one. And I've been thinking about it lately, like put the straps on a wave.
Yeah.
Do it and see if you can keep going.
With your commentary at the same time.
Yeah, that would be a good video to see.
That would be sick. That would be sick.
I'll accept that challenge. Let's do it.
I guess also with that, I'm just actually really want to know how you get up with your GoPro 360. Like how do you carry it? Is kind of what.
So as much as my mum's gonna hate to hear this, I got a pole. So it's like a telescopic pole.
Yeah,
and it goes down. It's probably about it's the teeth one.
Yeah,
Mum will hate me saying that. But yeah, I've done it in the past before. I had the long one, so it was just like a straight section. It couldn't collapse or anything. I just stuck it down the back of my weddy. And that was pretty easy. Like you just paddle in and pull it out. But having the telescopic one's so good.
Yeah. So you have like a short. You have a short little pole, and then you got that in your mouth, and then when you grab it out, you extend it. Is that kind of like how you're doing? Yeah.
But those 360 cameras have made it so easy. Like the editing, like before, if you like your GoPro's off and it's just filming you like your head in the sky, like the 360, you don't have to think much about it. You just start it, open it up, and it looks so good.
With that, do you choose which frame you want to be in the photo, or like
so you've got to edit it afterwards. And you got to you choose what it looks at.
Yeah, okay.
It's a bit of a nightmare to edit. It's like every clip you got to edit all the way through, and you got to set markers, be like look towards here at this, and then it'll play for a little bit, and then you'll see it'll start to drift off, and you come back here, and then it'll kind of smooth it all out. So it's not easy, but it's easy, but it's just time consuming.
Yeah. Sick.
Right. Well,
awesome. Anything else we wanted to talk about? Anything you wanted to talk about, Oscar? Like coming into the podcast? Or
I didn't have anything in mind, to be honest. I was curious just to hear where you guys are heading, what you want to, what you're working on. But straps is sick.
Yeah.
The pumping.
Just fishing for compliments here. Just tell us how good the podcast is.
That's it.
That's not what it was.
What are the biggest? I want to know what the biggest wings you're riding, like pumping, just connecting and stuff. What are the bigger end of the wings that you're riding?
10.
Yeah, so one of the wings we started on was the Axis 1010, which like that was awesome for dock foiling. Still probably one of the best dock foiling wings. Like I don't own it, but my dad's got it, and so we sometimes borrow that. So that's pretty good. And I've actually prone surfed that a couple times, which is, if it's really small, is pretty fun because you just don't have to work really. Which is quite nice. But then
I don't think anything really small than the 1550, or I guess the 999, but that's not really.
Oh yeah, the 1099. I had to go winging the 1099 the other day, and it was just huge, like especially for my weight as well. And I had a 5 meter wing, and I was like, oh my god, this is insane. Yeah. But I couldn't jibe. Like I tried to turn, and then the wingtips just kept like popping out, and I was like, managed to get back into shore, so it's all good.
Nicely done.
But no, it's pretty
those
sick.
big wings are. Yeah, they take a lot to get used to, and I mean for your weight, they're massive wings. Yeah, and like to try and get that amount of weight to like lean it over.
Yeah.
And that's where like I've kind of been going down lately, like offsetting your foot stance. I don't know how much you played with that. But as you get into the bigger wings, you got I just keep offsetting more and more. Yeah. Like I'm normally not that offset, but I'm like having to offset heaps now. Like especially on the 1099 got offset so much.
Yeah.
Like, that thing takes so much to like roll rail to rail.
Yeah.
Like when you're doing your jibes and that. But the glide's pretty addictive. Like you can ride nothing.
Yeah, it is
which
crazy.
is cool.
Yeah, no, it's good. It was stall speed would be pretty high, pretty low on that as well, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Get it with nothing.
Yeah.
Right, wicked.
It's all relative when you've been on the Armstrong, I suppose.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, they've got pretty high stall speed.
Just like a final, well, maybe not a final question, but like, what's the favorite all-around wing? If you had to choose one wing to cross all disciplines, prone, downwind.
Yeah, if someone told you had to get rid of everything but one wing, which would you keep?
One wing, one mast size, and one tail wing. Let's put it that way.
Well, there's okay, mast size 85.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, longer mast.
All day?
All day.
Yeah,
I had it started on the 72
Mm-hmm.
Armstrong, got the 85, I haven't touched it since on any brand. I won't ride anything less than, I think I got the 820 from Axis. That's the shortest mast I ride.
Yeah. Right.
I think as an all-round, like, gives you so much more. Like, when you're really powered up, you don't have to be that as concerned about how high you are. You're not worried about breaching. You can just go and then pump. The pump's a little harder. It's not as easy. Like, you got to stay up really high and you feel you're a bit more unstable. But once you get used to it, I haven't been back. I've got and it's a little bit laggier. Like rolling it over. Like, it takes more to roll it over, which, you know, it's we got a longer distance to kind of roll over. But I would 100% 85 mast. Front wing. I'd almost say the 899 Axis ART 899. That thing's epic. So I can paddle it up downwind. Proning, it's sick. It's such a good, like, it turns well. It kind of does it all. Yeah, kind of like the Lift 120, I guess. Kind of similar, I think.
Yeah,
awesome. And tailwing then? Would you just be going?
Would it just be the small, flattest, tiniest thing?
I think the Axis, the progressive 325.
Yeah, that's a sick one.
That
makes sense.
That thing's an awesome tailwing.
Yeah.
What would you guys go? So we got one Armstrong. Would you pick the 925 over the 1550?
Oh no, never. 1550 for life.
Yeah, if you haven't seen many of the other podcasts, Noah absolutely frothed the 1550.
It's been the best made wing they've ever.
It's got a place in his heart.
I'm gonna mount that thing on my wall. It's just a weapon. But yeah, I'll probably.
Have you chopped the tips on it?
No, I haven't. I'm scared to because I don't want to ruin it. Is it? Have you ridden a chopped one before?
I've chopped the 1250. When I had the 1250, I got pretty sick of the breeches and was like, nah, I'm chopping it. And that was the best thing I ever did to it. It was so much better afterwards.
Oh, really? Right.
Sweet.
Yeah, I think that everything. Pump was better. You get less drag. Breached better. Not like amazing. It did, like, when you really lean it over, it was okay to breach. But yeah, and I know the 1550's got those, like, real.
Yeah, she's real curly. Yeah, it's just a thick, really curled wing. So I don't know, if you chop it, I feel like it's just gonna make it. Oh, I don't think. I know the 1250 it's a lot more thin and, like, long, I think, rather than the 1550 that just curls into, like, fat and just the ugliest looking wing. But it's the first wing I ever bought. It's just it's got a place in my heart. So no, but I'll probably
I haven't ridden the 1250 for me. I haven't ridden it since I think the 925. I haven't ridden it since.
Yeah,
and I still can't bring myself to get rid of it. I haven't ridden it, but I just still see it. And I'm like,
it's just
the OG.
Definitely, yeah.
Well, Noah, what's your answer to the question then?
No, I definitely think I would prefer the 925, but I think I need a bit faster of a tail wing with the 925. I'm riding, like, the first, like, tail wing they really brought out, Armstrong, and she's just a bit slow.
Is that the 232?
Is that the 300?
The 232, yeah.
232, yeah. The new, that HA195, I can highly recommend. That thing's so quick. Real thin, just super high aspect. But I think the first time I rode it with the 725 it was, and, like, first pump, I just fell back. It just has so much projection on the pump.
Yeah.
But it doesn't help with your stall speed at all.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Alright, Max, what would be your answer then?
Pretty similar to yours, Oscar. Yeah, well, I know the ART range just because I've ridden the 999 and then now onto the 899, so I'm comfortable with that. Like, I've tried the Lift 120 and 170, but really haven't spent enough time to get to sort of know it and sort of absorb the information, or like, actually that's a bad way to put it, sort of just get to understand the wing. So yeah, probably have to go with the 899, and then probably 75 miles, just because everywhere around Perth is just a little
shallow.
Yeah, a little shallow, and yeah. We were trying to get up on, like, I don't know, there were 10 knot winds, and we're bored, so let's go for a little
chip in.
Like, yeah, a little chip in, see what we can do. Then the wind fully chopped off. The swell was like 0.1 meter, and we tried to paddle up on this reef, and we're just like kind of hitting little spots on the reef. Hugh managed to get up on the 170.
Yeah,
I could not on the 899. On a bigger day, it'll work. I have faith. Yeah, and then 75 miles, then probably I'm on the 400 HA tail, the high aspect. Not the high aspect, sorry, just the flat. It is called high aspect, isn't it? Yeah, but I sort of want to get one of those new progressive 375 or 325s.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, the 350 is a good just all rounder. I think the 325 is, it's not the biggest, but that 350, I mean, for my weight anyway, which are pretty similar, like it's pretty much the good all rounder. But you do know it is the same thing. Smaller tail wings, a little bit quicker, a little bit more nimble, but. And I don't mind, I think, like, compared to that 400, like the dead flat ones, I think those ART wings have a little bit of drift in them.
Yeah.
So I kind of notice, like, it's nice having that little bit of kind of flare in the tail. It just kind of tracks a little bit smooth, a little bit nice, a little bit more predictable. So
Yeah, sure.
I mean, I feel like my answer is going to be pretty predictable. I would definitely go lift 120. But, like, I would like to keep an open mind and keep trying new wings and stuff, because I think, like, all the other brands feel super different. But just at the moment, I love the lift 120 because it feels like surfing to me. So, like, I can go from surfing and go to foiling, and I don't have to change my mindset too much. Where if, like, I remember when I was on Axis, because it's got that front foot pressure, which you don't really get when surfing so much. It's like I'd go from foiling to surfing, and like the first 3 waves you get on each one is going to be a bit like, whoa, what's going on here? I've got to work it out again. Where, with the lift, I find it feels identical surfing and foiling. So it's pretty cool that you can kind of improve both at the same time.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think those high aspects have gone, like, I think we all kind of got into the habit of just like kind of wide swooping turns, and I think the lift 120s kind of changed that, like with that lower stall speed, like you can ride it a bit tighter in the pocket and draw kind of more top to bottom lines. You still have that, like, you got to wash speed off, like you can't really get around it, like they're quick wings, and like to draw that line, like so many times you're just going out into the flats, just kind of going like waiting, just like, all right, like wait till you got just that right amount of speed to then go back up and actually kind of do more of a kind of figure eight kind of vertically rather than just that constant horizontal. So it's cool to see guys now, like on like really quick wings, taking their approach more kind of vertical. Like I think you kind of got the guys doing the strap stuff, doing the airs, and like that's actually better on the high aspects. You got so much more speed, but it's so much scarier taking a high aspect top to bottom, like going straight at a wave and trying to do a turn, like your legs are going to buckle. There's so much force kicking back at you. So I definitely reckon that's such a cool area where guys are getting better and better. And I mean, guys like Adam Bennett's is just flying on them. But, and same, but he's sort of, we had this long chat with a few of us, and everyone's trying to slow the wings down. So like I know guys are on the lift 120 are just like packing shims in there. Like they've got the adapted tail, so you can run different tails. And they're just like putting so much drag just so that that stall speed gets a little higher and you can kind of ride it tighter in the pocket. And it's the same with like the Armstrong. I'm riding it now with the, like, I don't know if you got the old fuse or the new one, but like with the A+ fuse, you can just flip them back to front and they stick up and you just kind of trim them off. So I've got like, I think now 2 red shims, so like an extra 2 degrees of lift. So theirs goes the other way. So it goes like an extra -2 degrees, and it slows down the stall speed of that 925. It makes it so much easier, but it also brings a little bit more front foot pressure. So there's always positives and negatives, but using those high aspects in the surf and drawing those top to bottom lines, it's so fun. If you got a 3D printer, KD Maui has the files on his website, so you can print the same thing, which is cool. So he's sort of similar. Him and Adam Bennett's have been going down that same line of just adding drag to the system and more lift to kind of get that stall speed a little lower.
Yeah, right.
So
I might have to invest. Anyway, okay. Well, are we sorted, fellas? Right.
All right. Sick.
Yeah, wicked.
Well, cheers, Oscar. Thanks for coming on the podcast. It's been a great insight into bloody everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's awesome to be here, man. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Awesome what you guys are doing. Keep it up. Get more people just talking. And that's how you learn. Like, I learned so much just talking to other people and, like, just sharing what helped you and your journey. And, like, yeah, same thing. Like, when you're kind of fresh in a journey, like, having that, you know, like me now with downwind foiling, I've got so many things I'd tell people that when they're getting into it, but then prone, I kind of starting to forget some of the things that helped me when I was learning. So, yeah, just keep the conversation going. Epic.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll try to keep doing that, and it's awesome to get your like East Coast insight, because obviously it's much easier for us to talk to people around WA, but it's sweet to hear what's happening.
Well, I definitely reckon this year, when the borders are open, well, they are now. Well, you might see me over there. Late year.
Sounds like getting
let me know. My little
Spare room.
Yeah. yeah. And we got plenty of room. Anytime you guys are over, hit us up. We'll sort you out. I got my little brothers in Cottesloe, so I'm coming over soon. So
sweet.
let you guys know. We'll try to get a session in.
Yeah,
Awesome. Hit us up.
Sure.
Yeah, done.
2 feet reef break. It'd be sick.
You might have to bring out the 72 again.
Yeah,
she's gonna be pretty jealous.
Make sure you pack that.
Yeah.
Make sure you pack that.
Yeah, pack some short. Sounds good.
All right.
Awesome, guys.
Sweet.
All right,
Thanks for
cheers.
coming on.
Thanks, Oscar.
Oh, yeah.
Pre-programmed.
Oh yeah, we need to pre-program.
There's a whole other bank you can like set up.
Dun, 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 dun,
Oh no.
dun. No, we need the Ali A intro. What's up, guys? Ali A back with
Hey,
another.
we need to. What's pumping, guys?
No, that is so far from our catchphrase. No. Blooper reel.
Oh, that was next level bad, Hugh. That was as bad as Max's analogy 2 weeks ago.
Fuck you, hell no.
Say that again, we'll all be really quiet. Crickets. Okay, where is he?